Great Spoon and Yellow Tunnel. My name is Vlad Karpel. I'm CEO and founder of Yellow Tunnel, and today we're going to have our weekly strategy roundtable discussion where we talk about current market conditions and answer any questions you might have. Alex, let me know if you can hear me. Just type in yes if you can hear me. Show my camera. Can you guys see my camera or no? Let's stop sharing. Can be applied by your experience disclose video conference that I'm no longer able to share your camera. Got it. Okay, let's try it again. Turn that page and turn on. Alex, yes. Okay. But you cannot see the camera, I assume, which is fine. So for those of you who are new, welcome. This is my brief bio. I was Executive Vice President, Head of Technology at Options Express. Since I left Options Express, I work as an investor and consultant in several companies, Groupon, Big Six, also Avant-Garde Trading. My background is in technology. We have a team of financial engineers that are building new models and enhancing existing models. We provide signals in our on our website, and we also do live trading. So Keith and I, we cover morning bell and closing bell, where we use the signals to trade stock and options. Disclosures are very important. Please read them. I'm going to go through specific trade ideas and trade setups, so it's important to understand the risk associated with trading stock and options. If this is the first time you see the screen, I encourage you to visit optionstrading.com so you can understand the risk associated and suitability associated with trading stock and options. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not registered with FINRA or SEC. And you also can see the relationship between Yellow Tunnel, TradeSpoon, and Avant-Garde Trading on the bottom of your screen. All right. Before we jump into trading psychology, let's take a look at the market. So you can see QQQ and spiders retesting all-time highs after de-escalation in Middle East, and we're about to sign. United States government is about to sign memorandum of understanding with Iran in terms of continuation of the ceasefire, and also allowing the Strait of Hormuz being reopened. So that would probably the most important news that happened over the weekend and starting Friday. You can see spiders rebounded from the 50-day moving average after this happened, and the most interesting price action is in 10-year yield. So if you look at the 10-year yield, you can see we're still above 50-day moving average. So that 4.40 is a important level. So it's elevated, but the prices of the crude oil actually dropped below 80. Right, so we had an initial drop from right at the 50-day moving average, and then Friday, Monday, and Tuesday, we are back to 200-day moving average, 75. Not that far from the levels we've seen right at the beginning of the conflict in the Middle East. So that means that oil prices dramatically decrease. That should decrease the inflationary pressures on the global economies, right? Because the CPI and PPI came in harder than expected, but we were at 110 crude oil. Now that we're down 30-40%, then the yield should also drop. 10-year yield dropped significantly from 4.7 to 4.42, but still about 50-day moving average. So the next, assuming that the memorandum of understanding will be signed on this Friday, when they meet, when the government of Iran representative and United States meet in, I believe, in Geneva. The next event is tomorrow's decision on interest rates. Right. So tomorrow, Warsh, who's the new Fed chair, who driving basically decisions in interest rate decision and path of interest rates. I think that's the unknown in the market, right? So yield has dropped, but not significantly. It's not a 200-day moving average. And the fear is that potentially there could be some kind of a policy mistake. The probability of rate hike actually dropped dramatically in the past since Friday. I think before Friday, there was almost 90% chance that the Fed will have to, instead of rate cuts that we talked about last year and January, February of this year, last week before the announcement, there was 90% probability that Fed will have to increase the rates by end of the year, and that puts pressure on equity markets. Now, I think as of yesterday, there was about 50% chance that the Fed is still going to have to do the rate hike. Because, I mean, just because even if the Strait of Hormuz reopens and we have oil production, it will take time, months, for the oil production to reach similar levels that we've experienced back in February, early March. So inflation, CPI and PPI data could continue to stay higher for longer. And Fed has dual mandate. Unemployment data is below the Fed expectation. So Fed with dual mandate does not have to worry about the employment situation right now. But inflation continues to go higher, and potentially oil prices could still stay elevated, and inflationary pressures, it will take at least a few months to resolve them. So that's the main unknown in the market. Any questions so far? So Fed decision tomorrow is going to be important. If there's a policy mistake and interest rates rebound back to 460, 465, I think that would be a risk to the market, and then this rally will probably come to an end. Or if we don't sign, obviously, memorandum of understanding, and there's some kind of escalation in the Middle East, in Lebanon, or in Persian Gulf, or Strait of Hormuz, then same thing, crude oil will go higher, interest rates will go higher, and the market will reverse. For now, you can see a very low level, the lowest level since the start of the conflict in terms of people buying spiders puts. Right, people are not hedging, very little uncertainty in the market, and VIX is at 15 handle. You do have a strong price action in value stocks. I looked at Dow Jones Industrial continues to break out. So the value stocks, whether it's VTV, DIA, or RSP, equal weighted S&P, your banks, your industrials, not just, NVIDIA and Cisco of the world, but the industrial base is actually making new highs and expanding, and same with small caps. And that's a welcome sign that there's a broadening of participation. Dennis, just type in questions. If you guys have any questions, type in the question. I know you raised hand, but probably the easiest thing is to just type in, there should be a window inside of GoToWebinar. There should be a window that says questions, and you can just type in your question, and I'll be able to answer it. So broadening of participation, that's a welcome sign. You can see, if you look at our subscription, some of the signals from this weekend. Let's look at weekly power trader. So this is Yellow Tunnel subscription, right? The model runs every day on aggressive power trader, and you get signals every day, get published before market opens and the night before. And this week we had AMD is in strong uptrend, Boeing, some of the industrials, Delta Airline, transportation, Morgan Stanley, investment banking. These are the signals from today, and they get updated every single day, right? Every day you get signals that you can look. Weekly power trader, is the signals that get published on Sundays. And this is the signals that the model trained as of Friday. So even before the memorandum of understanding was announced. And you can see AMD, again, Citigroup, some of the industrials, Carrier, JBHT Hunt, transportation company, oil. Some of the oil companies are still in uptrend, and then STX, the AI stock. So these are the signals that the market, the model sees in the market, that it gives. And in terms of what I trade, so Citigroup was a good example, right? Today, actually, I placed a Citigroup trade yesterday, right? Was one of the signals this week, and I already was able to capture 1% move in Citigroup. Right? So close half of the position. So it's a combination of both stock trades, and then if you're more comfortable trading options, then I did buy 135, 140 call spread, an option that expires on June 26th. So you have combination of stock and option trading. If you want to follow my trades, then you can look at the dynamic power trader. And if you just want to signals, then as of Sunday, you have a list of up to 6 stocks that the model identify, and then we do qualitative analysis between Keith and I to make sure that the signals are valid. And same process happens in aggressive power trader, but this is on daily basis. Any questions so far? Alex, Balish is back. Chuck, Dennis, JT, Len, Rosie, Tim. Thank you guys for joining. So that's aggressive power trader, weekly power trader, dynamic power trader. What other signals that drive the market? Let's some of the other positions. So we talked about Citigroup continues to trade higher, so the banks are doing better. You see a strong move in JP Morgan today. Up 4%. Citigroup continues to rally. So with the expectation that interest rates will drop, right? That the oil prices are down, that Warsh will not make any policy mistakes on his first press conference, and he's going to keep it cool. And banks are the one of the beneficiaries, right? And you can look at Wells Fargo, similar price action. Industrials, so we see Carrier was one of the signals from weekly power trader, continues to make new highs, broke through this support level. So that's a bullish signal. And you can see XLI making new highs, right? So you can clearly, day 1, day 2, day 3, we broke through this overhead resistance, right? With the assumption that, again, interest rates will drop, inflationary pressures will subside, and then the market will continue going higher. Right, so you do have industrial stocks also participating in the signals. What are some of the other portfolio? Amazon. So Amazon has been so SpaceX. So another main event from the Friday is listing of SpaceX, and SpaceX bought Cursor today. I think 60 or 80 billion dollar transaction, like $60 billion transaction. So you can see these startups in AI. You definitely have a frenzy in some of these names. SpaceX, I think, is now worth more than Amazon. Briefly traded more than Microsoft, and I think it's third or fourth largest company by the market evaluation. So you definitely see a kind of a bubble starting to grow, or not starting, but growing in some of the IPO and AI names. The question is, when does this frenzy end, right? Does it end today? Does it end tomorrow, a week from now, 6 months from now, a year from now? That is hard to say, right? Because the agentic AI, the adoption phase, I think it just started. There's still a lot of time for the companies to adapt to the AI and agentic AI. And agentic AI and the companies like Cursor or like SpaceX now or Anthropic or um, will have a lot of leverage. Right now, they're not charging a lot. They're financed through the debt. A lot of these implementations, but once implementations are taking place, at some point they do have a lot of pricing power to increase the cost or the subscription fees for uh, for the companies. So I think personally, I don't think the AI is over. I think at some point, obviously, this is not sustainable for SpaceX to be 3, 4, 5 trillion dollar company, trading at 100 or 200 times their sales or their revenue. So, but usually there's some kind of a black swan event when that happens, right? Either policy mistakes where someone is raising interest rates or war, right? Escalation, uh, but some kind of a black swan event. For now, we don't see that. Market participation is broadening. Value stocks continue to make new highs. QQQ kind of rolling over. I would wait for the breakout, but definitely continues to trade higher. Any questions? So what else did we do? Emerging market, right? So Amazon, emerging market, Amazon bouncing back. So it was oversold to a degree to finance. One of the explanation was that because everybody's buying SpaceX, and it's today is the first day that options are trading for SpaceX. Then it's going to be quickly included in major ETFs. That everybody has to buy SpaceX, but to finance it, you have to sell your positions in Amazon or Google. So I think Amazon is oversold. I think Google is oversold, which is an opportunity to kind of buy at the discount. I think in general, software names had a strong rally, right here on the above average volume. It did pull back now, but I still think that software is oversold. Companies like Microsoft, Oracle, I think longer term is a good buy, right? If you have 6 months horizon, 12 months horizon, I think these companies will continue to grind higher. What else? Energy, I mean, I did close Halliburton position this week, but I still think that energy could be, if it's a longer term, right, and inflationary pressures are still going to stay. It's not just a spigot that you can turn on and off when it comes to oil, and it takes a few months to resume the same level of production as we had in February. Then, energy is oversold. I mean, it doesn't mean it cannot go to 34, 32 level, but at some point, this is overdone. The sell-off in energy names overdone, and you can potentially go long. And we talked about small caps. Okay. Small caps is another place where I would park your money. On our subscriptions, you can see that usually the idea is to only have 4 active positions with 2.5% account value loss per position, right? So that's 10%. If you trade in options, right, where you have to be correct on timing and you have to be correct on your the direction of the trade. If you trade in stocks, then the rest of the portfolio, I still propose 20 to 30% of your portfolio being in cash. And then the rest of the cash, after you buy stocks, right? If you do buy stocks, that's more than 10%, maybe 50% of your portfolio is in stocks, 30% portfolio in cash. You can put 20, 30% of the rest of the cash you can put in ETFs. Right. So I gave an example of small caps breaking out. I think that makes sense. Dow Jones makes sense. It's breaking out, continues to go higher. Emerging market, more speculative, similar to QQQ. Emerging market and QQQ behaves very similar because the exposure to the AI names. Any questions? All right. If there are no questions, then let's continue. So those are the services. We also have earnings power trader, right? Every week there are companies announcing earnings. I think I did Oracle, right? Oracle in the past earnings, and this week we have coming to an end of this earnings cycle. Next earnings cycle starts in July, right? But there's still JBL announcing earnings this week, Kroger announcing those earnings. So there's the opportunity to take advantage of the volatility, jump in volatility in premium in the options, and you can either go long or short these options. So definitely you have um, opportunities to trade options. So that's earnings power trader. And then profit accelerator is where you only trade in stocks if you prefer to trade stocks. Question at this point, would you play SpaceX at this point? So actually, let's look at Vanguard. We discussed this in live trading room today. Van- Have to clear my cache so I don't remember all the. So let's see. So if we look at Avangard again, I disclosed the relationship between Avangard and Yellow Tunnel, but you could see very large volume. This is the first day where the volume options are listed. You still have no open interest, but already at 200 you have actually 210 you have large position, right? 47,000 contracts just in 210 level that are traded today. Obviously, not as much interest in options on puts. So there's a huge skew toward the calls in terms of the volume, but nonetheless, you still have 80,000 people selling put spread. So I'm inclined to maybe sell put spreads as opposed to single call, right? And if you want to learn about how to trade put spreads, we actually, in a trading discipline, created a few webinars on trading plan, but also on how to, 0-day still expiration options and, put spreads, right? Income strategy. So I encourage you to review these videos if you actually want to learn how to trade 0-day still expiration options or put spreads or, um, how to calculate return on capital and how to trade options. But these are some of the webinars, and that's kind of my take on SpaceX, right? Because if I trade put spread, right? I think in the live trading room today, what did I discuss? Selling maybe 200, buying 190, right? I wouldn't sell naked options and calls, right? Because if tomorrow, if the wash comes out and says we're gonna increase the rate, right now there's 50-50 chance. that there'll be a rate hike. But he could say that our view on the balance sheet that it's too big, or our view on inflation data that it's not transitory anymore, or it will take longer to work off the inflationary pressures, market will drop, right? And SpaceX is volatile, just like it can be up 20%, it could be down 20%. So then you want to limit your gains and losses, right? And spreads allow you to do that, right? So this would be example of selling 200 strike, right? Because you can see 200 strike has highest put volume, at least right now, right? It's going to be highest open interest. So you can sell, and this is June expiration. So you can sell 200, buy 190, and collect $2.70, right? So your maximum profit is $2.70. Your maximum risk would be $7.30 if it drop. If it does drop between now and, keep in mind, this week is the expiration, right? Equity expiration. This expires tomorrow. We have Fed decision tomorrow. First press conference by Warsh, which is very highly anticipated, and each word is going to be scrutinized, right? Because interest rates are big input into any models, right? Whether you're running yellow tunnel or Tradespoon, or you're running, UBS or large hedge funds, interest rates what drives your evaluations, right? And when projected interest rates go up or down, then the evaluations of the stock market is also move as well. So that would be my proposal of how to trade SpaceX. Maybe sell put spread. If you do see that it gets oversold, right? I mean, you see these gaps. 190 with 200 probably would be the first gap that would be oversold. Next one is 170 is oversold, and then 150, right? Those are the different levels where the stocks is oversold. So if you want to build option layering and just that would be my take on this. And these bubbles, everybody can say that we're in a bubble, but nobody knows when that tipping point is reached, right? Nobody can. I mean, you can anticipate it, but you could be wrong for a very long time, right? We've seen this in 2008. If you watch the movie Big Short, uh, Michael Burry, I think the name of the hedge fund managers who made billions of dollars, right? A huge investment. But he almost went bankrupt at some point, right? Because he anticipated the mortgage-backed securities meltdown, but he was 2 years early, right? So he would keep borrowing money for 2 years until he almost went bankrupt. And then the mortgage-backed securities, 2008 crisis. So, and that same thing happened with the internet bubble back in 99 and 2000. A lot of people make references to that and analogies. But, ultimately, my opinion, nobody knows when that happened. And this excitement about AI could stay for the next 6 months, could stay for the next couple of years. Personally, I well familiar with some of the tools like Cursor and Claude um, and Codex from ChatGPT, and these are very powerful tools that basically is going to change the way we write software, the way we do research on healthcare and genetics and finding medicines and cure, and that is not a 1 month project or 6 months project. I think this is a few years. At some point, obviously, raising $60 billion to buy Cursor that started 3 years ago in the basement of 3 MIT graduates, right, and worth $60 billion. At some point, that is unsustainable, and there will be a burst, right, because there's a lot of debt being raised by Google and Microsoft. And you already can see Google got punished, right, when they raised the money in equity market or bond market. Same thing was, Meta, right? Meta is actually underperforming significantly. So, and same thing was Oracle, right, and the software names. So the people are already questioning some of the evaluations, but nonetheless, some companies are still going higher, right? Like Micron, most of the AMD semiconductor names, they continue to go higher. So Trading spreads, trading options, single options, you can buy a call, right? You can say, Vlad, I believe in SpaceX, and you think by Friday it'll be at 250. Okay, you buy 250 call and pay $3. If you're wrong, you're down $300. Right, at some point there won't be enough buyers to keep it, that you have a gamma squeeze, right? What you guys Tim alluded, but nobody knows when. Or if you don't want to, you're not comfortable trading, options that expire this Friday, you can go into July expiration, right? And obviously 250 call is going to be more expensive. It's going to be now $20. But if you think that, the lockup period is not for the next 6 months, and hedge funds are going to, and ETFs are going to keep adding the exposure to SpaceX, okay, then you can say, fine. Then, I'm willing to risk 100 would be $1,800. Tim, let me know if this answer your question. So we do have videos. So I went over different models. We have aggressive power trader. Just to recap, aggressive power trader is your daily signals. Weekly power trader are your weekly signals. Dynamic power trader is where I trade both stock and options. Earnings power trader is where I just take advantage of the implied volatility and trade spreads, butterflies, condors, or just regular spreads. And profit accelerator is where I trade stocks. We do have videos, market plan, if you want to learn about 0 days till expiration or other topics. Between Tradespoon and Yellow Tunnel, we've been in business for a very long time, right? Since 2012. So 14 years, 14 glorious years. So there's a lot of recordings you can find in a strategy roundtable, live trading room recordings every day. You can find them, investor workshop. So all of that is available to you. You can schedule one-on-one consultation with Keith. Keith is an expert in futures and options trading. He used to trade on the exchange. He worked at hedge funds. He's very knowledgeable in terms of mechanics of trading and options positioning and term structures and very complicated stuff. He knows about options a lot more than I do. So if you want to schedule a consultation with Keith, I'm going to drop this link. One-on-one consultation is free. Spend 15 minutes, either talk about Yellow Tunnel subscription or one-on-one coaching or how to manage your trading plan, any topics that you guys think are worth exploring. I encourage you to do that. So I'm going to send it to all, the link. So schedule consultation with Keith. And as you can see, we do have a special commission schedule with AGT. I disclosed the marketing relationship in the beginning. We do have marketing relationship with Avant-Garde Trading. So if you're looking either for 65 cents a contract, right, you can trade at 65 cents a contract, which is, if you're paying more, if you're paying $1 or 95 cents or $1.50 in some places, obviously, it adds up. Or if you're looking for a letter of direction, if you want to auto execute some of the trades that I've done, like Citigroup spread, then you can sign up for, again, brokerage account at AGT, and they'll, and you'll be able to auto execute some of these trades. And I'll drop the link here as well. Here's the link. Any questions? All right, we have a lot of people today. I appreciate you guys joining. This means a lot to me. Alex, Balish, Chuck, JT. Welcome back, JT, J Tonic, Dr. Tonic. Welcome back. Haven't seen you for a while. Len, L-E-N, welcome. Rosie, that sounds familiar. Steven, welcome. Tim. So thank you guys for joining today. Consider, you can look at the pricing. If you want to join any of these subscription, go to pricing. We do give you 30-day money-back guarantee, so you get risk-free trial, basically, of our software. If you're looking for models that are done by AI and also vetted by Keith and I, and we actually use them. It's one thing to build models, but never use them, or you have traders that don't have models. It's more of a kind of a hedge fund approach. So we're trying to level the playing field where you basically have the same tools as large hedge funds do, right? And these models are probably one of the better models, these hedge funds. And then you have the qualitative layer where Keith and I are actually trading with our real money these signals. And you can find them in Dynamic Power Trade or Profit Accelerator. And there's a lot of free content, right? Free content if you want to learn on some of these topics, trading plan, trading disciplines, where you can find them. We also have power trading concept blog that gets published every Sunday, on different topics like fear of missing out versus fear of future regret and trade idea. So please be sure to add info@yellowtunnel.com so you get our emails as well. Unless there's other questions, that's all I have for today. Alex, Tim, thank you for your questions and participating. Stephen, Rosie, Len, JT, Chuck, Balish, Alex, thank you guys very much. Have a great day. And I will see you guys. We do have a short week, so Friday, Juneteenth, right? So just remember it's a short week. Keep an eye on interest rates and Fed decision tomorrow. We have expiration week, and I think next Tuesday we'll have the status of a memorandum of understanding. We'll have a status of the interest rate decisions. People are going to turn their attention into the earnings, expectations of double-digit growth, inflationary pressures goes up, so the market could continue rally. And that's what I think is, what I think is going to continue. My personal opinion, and the model spiders also shows that in the next 3 months we're heading higher, right? That by September, October usually volatile. So, but I think by end of the year, if we're at 800 or 830, I would not be surprised. And that's what model is projected. That by the end of the year, this was probably one of the more aggressive targets that on the street. But I think 800, 830 by end of the year is reasonable, assuming lower inflation, lower oil prices, and no policy mistakes on Fed. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and I will see you next Tuesday, same time, same place. Please try to make it. I appreciate you guys joining. If you can join live trading room, that would be great, or watch the recordings, and I will see you guys soon. Thank you very much, and have a great day.